thank you very much for choosing this workshop. It's called Depth of Assessment. I'm going to share with you in a little while how this where this stems from and where this comes from. But thank you for choosing this and taking this very seriously, because the work is very important, and we all know that. Okay? So my name is Kara Morong Houlihan, and I have been working as a permanency specialist out of the Buffalo Regional Office for about the last 3 years-ish. And prior to that experience, I worked in the world of home finding for about 14 years. So I have experience working as a direct home finder, as well as working as a recruiter, and then ultimately a home finding supervisor. And I gotta tell you, how many home finders are in here? Okay, so you all get it, right? You learn a lot, right? I sure learned a whole heck of a lot. Some very difficult lessons, and a lot of what works really well, but it was all very important. I remember, let's go back early 2000, so 2001, 2002, brand new home finder, all excited, you know, oh, I'm gonna save the world, I love people, I can't wait to work with everybody, I'm working with a family, they seem fabulous, they stepped forward, they wanted to adopt, I'm like, oh, these people seem great, going through the process. Took them through MAP classes, right? Took them every step of the way, worked on the paperwork with them, approved them, I wrote their home study, identified their strengths and their needs, right? They were approved, they were certified. A couple months later, they were placed with a child. This child was freed for adoption, and this child was placed there for the purpose of adoption. Fast forward a few months, it's a nasty disruption. A disruption that impacted this child's safety, this child's permanency, and this child's well-being. It was tough. And what we tend to do when situations happen, we like to look deeper, right? We like to look and kind of see, what could we do different? What could maybe we do next time? What lessons did we learn from this situation that we can take into the next family we're working with? And one thing that I realized pretty quickly, although I had addressed the areas of need with the family, I addressed them up here on the surface, but I didn't dive deep. I didn't do a deep enough dive, a deep enough assessment in certain areas that came up with this family. Maybe it would have made a difference. Maybe not. But from that, this family was struggling with fertility. I didn't go into the questions, where is this family in their grieving process? What emotional impact has this, what has this taken its toll on this family? Where are they at in this whole process? What supports do they have in place to help them through this? How did they manage? How have they gotten by? What additional supports do I need to provide this family before they have a child coming to their home? What else do we need to do with them? That was not done. And I was a brand new home finder. And guess what? When I had to go pick up that child, and when that child was sitting in my back seat and I'm driving back to the agency with this child, my whole perspective changed. My lens shifted on the importance and the significance of our assessments. They matter hugely. And maybe this resonates with some of you, especially if you've been doing this for a while. I think one of the presenters for the TED Talk said, disruptions happen. They do. We know that they do. Okay, so this is the work that we do. Okay, so this is basically where this is stemming from. So then fast forward a couple more years, and I'm working with other agencies, and there's some significant tragedies that happen in foster care. And again, once again, looking at diving deeper into the home study assessments and learning, foster adoptive parent had suffered significant trauma that maybe was addressed, but was not adequately assessed. We didn't go deep enough. Could it have made a difference? Maybe, right? Now fast forward 10 years in my current role as a permanency specialist, and one of my responsibilities is oversight and monitoring. So I go out with the Buffalo Regional Office and we assess agencies, we review agencies and counties. When there's issues that come up, we go in and we're doing the deeper dive. And what do you think is a theme that we're seeing when we're reviewing home study records? What would you guess? What are we seeing? Same thing, right? So maybe we're addressing an issue, but not really taking that deeper dive and going a little bit farther to answer some more questions to see where we're at, okay? So this is really where this stems from. So the information I'm going to be sharing with you today is a combination of personal experiences as a home finder, what works, what I've experienced that works, as well as trainings I've attended over the years, in addition to some research that I looked up on the subject. Okay, so it's a combination of all of that together. Okay? So those of you that do home finding, you know it's much more of an art than a science. Right? It's not black or white. It's very gray. It's not just checking boxes. It's a lot more than that. Right? And we also know that no matter, even if we did the absolute best assessment we possibly could have done, we can never be 100% certain that this is going to work with this family, right, and with the child. We can't. We're working with humans, human beings, and things change. Circumstances happen. But what we can do, I really look very closely and carefully and focusing on what can we do. Where are some areas that we can dive a little bit deeper in? Where can we improve to potentially improve our outcomes for our children and our families? So we're really going to be focusing on that, okay, today when we're talking for the next hour and a half or so, okay? None of us have that crystal ball. Wish we did, but we don't. So we just have to know at the end of the day, we did our very best with our assessment of this family. So my best hope for all of us is when we walk out the door, let's see, it is 2:40, okay? So by 4 o'clock when we walk out the door today, my best hope is that we are going to have an opportunity to explore the impact and the significance of conducting a thorough and complete home study assessment, why it matters in the first place. So hopefully you know this, you're doing the work, but it's just a reminder for us, a reminder. We're going to obtain a clear understanding of how having a complete home study assessment impacts safety, permanency, and well-being for our kids. Okay? Increasing knowledge and comfort level when using our assessment tools. We have all kinds of tools at our disposal. So how can we increase our comfort and knowledge and understand how those can be useful to us as we strengthen our assessments? We're going to look specifically at 6 ways. 6 ways that we can improve and strengthen our home study assessment with our families. And then in addition, we're going to look at our supervision and how that plays a role in us improving our assessments with our families. But before we really get into everything, all of you have sticky notes at your place. There's 3 of them there. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And you only have about 2 minutes. I don't want you to, don't think too much, just kind of what comes to the top of your head. And I want you to write 1 answer per little sticky note. And then I'm going to ask you to get up. I know the room's kind of cozy and everything, but we can make it happen. We can make it work. So get on up and just come on up here, and then I'm going to have you stick your answers on the accompanying flip chart, okay? So the questions are, describe the purpose of a home study assessment. That's going to be on your first sticky. What are the challenges when completing a thorough assessment? That'll be on your second. And what do you need to be successful in completing a thorough assessment? You. What do you need? Okay? So then when you're ready, you can come on up here and stick it right on the flip chart. Okay. So what do we see? What do we have here? What is the purpose of a home study assessment? Know the family, to learn about strengths and needs, to find out about the family and why they want to do this in the first place, right? Their motivation. assessing safety, and addressing any concerns within the home. To find out as much about the foster parents in regards to their ability and willingness to foster and assess for safety. Okay, all right. To thoroughly get to know a family. Okay, Marianne, what did you see? What are some themes up here for some of the challenges? What did you see?
The first column is all about whether or not families are being forthcoming.
They're just saying what they think I want to hear, right? You hear that all the time. Okay, are they really telling us everything?
The second one was about whether or not there was enough time to do a complete study.
Yes, that's, yeah.
A third one I found interesting was about they're questioning their own skill and their own ability to gather that information.
Sure.
And then there was quite a few questions about culture and biases.
Okay, interesting. Okay. And what do you need to be successful in completing a thorough assessment? I see a lot of time, again, right? Time and tools. What are the tools that I can use for that? Being very open-minded, objective, the engagement skills, bolstering the engagement skills, a trauma-informed lens, need to make sure I can ask the right questions, transparency, honesty. Okay, so all of you know what you wrote down. So we're gonna come back to these. After we have our conversation today and we go through the 6 ways, I want you to think about what some of your challenges were and see if we're able to address some of them as we move forward in the next hour or so. Okay? Deal? Deal. Okay, sounds good. So we're really gonna focus primarily on 2 skills that are going to help us with our improving and strengthening our depth of assessment with our families. 2 primary skills. The first one is our critical thinking skills. We hear this all the time, right? And our interpersonal helping skills. Our critical thinking skills they help us to assess information gathered. It is disciplined thinking that is clear, rational, open-minded, and informed by evidence. Then we have our interpersonal helping skills, which is how we're collecting that information, how we're communicating, how we're engaging that family, how we're gathering that information, which then is going to inform our critical thinking process. Okay? So, but even before we get into the critical thinking, and even before we get into the interpersonal helping skills, we need to start with our number 1 way to strengthen our assessments. We need to, before anything else, we really all need to understand in our heart of hearts the significance and the importance of what you're doing. It's foundational. Home study assessments are foundational, and they can impact all the way through the life of the family in the world of foster care and the child that ends up in their care, okay? What you do matters hugely. It's not just a task. It's not just filling out a form or lots of forms, right? Lots of forms we have to fill out. It's an assessment that is truly going to make a difference, and it really, truly matters. It's really important on the front end. You are the front end. You are the gatekeepers. You are the folks who are really, you have the most influence on the foster parents and the adoptive parents when they're coming through your door. So it's our responsibility as a system that we're providing you with training, we're providing you with the skills you need, right? We're now, OCFS now is doing the home finding summits. You are recognized as critically important in the whole process of this child welfare. And also support. What supports do you need to help you to be successful, okay? I have actually personally seen agencies that have very, very strong home finding programs flourish. On the front end, their families are very well prepared. They have been very well assessed. Their families are happier, so they're able to recruit easier. right? So the programs themselves, it's foundational. They sustain stronger. I've also seen the flip side. I've seen agencies really struggle, very significantly. Some close. And that's a foundational piece of that, the strength of all of you, okay? So what are some of the ways that you can think of? So we have our home study assessment over here. How does that relate to safety for a child in foster care? How does the home study assessment that you're doing relate to safety of the child?
Locality and see if everything's safe. I mean,
Right.
people have pools, people that aren't, properly gated or
Sure.
whatever it is. People have doors that aren't, windows that aren't safe.
Okay.
So it's just, a logistical thing first, just to see what the space is like and if it's safe for a child.
Okay, so like the physical safety, you're really assessing carefully, you're going in all the rooms, you're looking in the basement, you're checking out the pool. Is this a safe environment for a child? Okay, go ahead.
I think too, when we're talking about going into people's own trauma, so when we're talking about people's history, I always tell families that you have to deal with your own stuff before you can deal with the child's.
Yes,
So.
yes. And how does that relate to safety of that child?
If they have not dealt with their own past, a child's history may come in and trigger something. And they
Absolutely,
may not even realize.
absolutely,
So it could
yes,
cause an unsafe situation inadvertently.
absolutely, yes. Go ahead.
I think that the home study assessment helps people make better matches.
Ah, uh-huh,
Information that you're gathering about the foster homes.
Yeah.
And what you're looking for out of their
Right.
foster experience.
Right.
Making better matches, those will help the children be safer.
you got it, great. Good stuff. Okay, so we'll go back to this again. So you have your home study assessment. What does that have to do with permanency outcomes for our kids? How is that linked?
Are they willing to adopt?
So you have, right,
Are they willing to do both?
right,
Birth parents, or are they willing to see this to the end?
sure, yep. What are they open to? Okay,
Their ability to work in partnership.
okay. How are they working in partnership? Okay, and that could definitely impact permanency for the child, right? Okay, go ahead.
Better preparation might possibly reduce disruption.
Ah, and what does disruption have to do with permanency? A whole lot, right? A whole lot, yeah. Okay, what about our assessments that we do on the front end? What does that have to do with recruitment and retention? How are they linked?
Because if they're happy, they may know people that want to be foster parents, and say, yeah, this is a good thing.
You got it, right. Okay, so we're gonna look at this. We're gonna do a visual picture of what this potentially looks like, all right? And how what you are doing on the front end weaves in through the whole process of a child's experience in care, all right? I'm going to ask for 5 volunteers. So anybody who's tired right now or feeling like, right, it will be really good for you. All you have to do literally is stand up and hold a piece of yarn. That's all you have to do. You don't have to talk, you don't have to do anything else. That's all you have to do, okay? Are there 5 people that would be willing to do that? Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, awesome. So if you look around the room, there are flip charts, sticky papers that are like flipped up. If you could, each of you go stand in front of one of them, that would be really helpful. Pick one, anyone, but only 1 per sticky flip chart. Thanks. So we have our golden thread. It's really yarn, but we're going to call it thread, okay? So I'm going to ask you, Jennifer, if you can hold this. I'm going to flip this down. So we have done a bang-up job on this assessment. We have looked very thoroughly at any issues, situations that have come up. We really have asked the right questions. This family is very well prepared. We took our time on the process, and you are good to go. Let me come on over here. Well, this is going to be fun. Sure, thank you. So because we've done a really good assessment, we know this family really well. We understand what children would do best in their home. We understand what their areas of strength are, what their areas of needs are. We've put in proactively some potential supports that this family might need even before the child ever came to their home. And because of that, we're able to make a really good placement decision because we know this family. We understand this family. And we're also providing the family with support that we put in place proactively, as well as supports that happen after the child is placed, okay? So because we've made a really good assessment on this family, and we put the proactive supports in place, and we've made a good placement decision, we have stability. We have stability for the family unit. We have stability for the child. We've made a great assessment of this family. Placement decision is intact. Really good stuff happened in this situation. Child stable. Family unit is stable. The family is satisfied. Right? And well, what do we say? What does that have to do with retention? Okay? And recruitment. Okay? So we've made our excellent assessment. The family's prepared. We have supports in place proactively. Then later on, we've made a great placement decision. Supports are intact. There's a stable situation. Family's happy. They're talking to their friends and their families and the community. Oh, fostering's great. And where do we end? There's an increased likelihood that this child is going to be safe, that permanency outcomes are going to be achieved, and the well-being outcomes are going to be positive, okay? And then, we go back to you. What do you see? There, yeah. It's all connected, right? It's all connected. So if you guys could just stand there for one more minute, what would happen potentially if we start here and it's not a positive assessment? Maybe we weren't able to dive deep enough. We didn't ask the questions that we needed to ask. Think about my situation when I first started home finding. I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't dive deep enough. My assessment was shaky. What potentially could happen? Disruptions, yep. That's over here. Because we didn't make a strong assessment up front, maybe the family isn't prepared well enough. We didn't put supports in place that family is going to need down the road, potentially, to mitigate any concerns or issues that we've identified in our assessment. We weren't able to make the best placement decision because we truly didn't know that family, right? Child's not stable. Child's there, child's disrupted. Okay? Because the child's disrupted, how's the family feeling? The family's feeling dissatisfied, and how's that child feeling? Right? Yet another loss, okay? And then because of that, what's impacted? Potentially the safety, the permanency, and the well-being outcomes. So you guys, thank you. You're all set. Thank you for holding the string. I'll collect it. The golden thread that weaves throughout. Thank you. Thank you much. Does that make sense? Okay. It's pretty powerful. That's the number one way that you're going to strengthen your home study assessments is when you truly understand the significance of what it means and how it will impact safety, permanency, well-being, and your recruitment and retention. Number 2, all right, so now we know the importance. I don't think I have to convince any of you. You're all there, you all got it, you know it. You know what you do matters hugely. So we know the importance. Now we have to really create a safe environment for our families so when they're entering our doors, when they make the first phone call to us, they feel like this is a safe place. And when you have a safe environment, you're more likely to get what from them? The truth. They're more likely to be open with you if they feel safe and if they feel comfortable, okay? And it's really important for us to get, and I think somebody put it over here too, about making sure we need to have a trauma-informed lens. We really need to be able to understand, we don't know each and every family that comes through our door. We don't know what they've experienced, so if we have a trauma-informed lens, we're looking at everybody in the same way. We don't know that, so we have to make sure that we're providing the trauma-informed principles. We're providing safety, trustworthiness, collaboration, choice, and empowerment. That's how you create a safe environment for your families when they're coming to you, okay? So what are some of the ways or the strategies that you use to create an emotionally safe environment now? What are some of the things that you do? And you can just take a look at some of these up here. What do you do?
Like going into their home and meeting with them in their home.
So you ask, where are you comfortable meeting? Would you like to meet in your home? Was that more comfortable for you, or would you like to come to the office? Okay, yep. So you're offering choice. You're showing respect. Okay. What about others?
Being truthful.
Yes, being very upfront. That's huge. When you're being very upfront and very transparent with them, which principle are you really nurturing? Trustworthiness, yeah. So if they feel like you're more trustworthy, then they're going to be more open with the process. Yes. What else? Good.
Open communication and being reliable. So
Yes.
be there showing up for them.
Yes. If you say you're going to be there, you be there, right? If you're running late, give them a call. Hey, I'm on my way. Right? You're promoting that trustworthiness. Okay. What about something as simple as when you go to a home, would you like me to keep my shoes on or off? Something as easy as that. Right? You're showing respect. You're asking them for their choice. What else? Wendy, you had your hand?
I was just gonna say in the empowerment, like reminding them that it's a mutual selection process. This isn't just about me assessing you, it's you feeling like if
Yes.
my agency is the right agency for you, or being a foster parent is the right choice right now.
Right, yeah. You're empowering them to make that decision. Yeah, and they have the choice to make that decision. Okay, good. Right. Respecting a family's diversity. Right. How an applicant wishes to be addressed. It's the little things sometimes that make a huge difference for folks. Now, how long do you think that takes? How long does it take to build this safe environment and create this safe environment? A day? What do you think? Takes a while, right? It's a process, and that's why the assessment process is a process, okay? It's designed to occur and happen and unfold over time, right? And that's why I know there are some agencies that are fortunate enough to have the same person that's taking the call, that's taking them through orientation, all the way through to the end. Because, and I just actually heard somebody was talking out when we were eating lunch, saying, you know, oh, this person's going to stay with this family because they've developed a good relationship from orientation, and the family's really bonding with them, so they're going to stay along in the process. Now, I know not every agency or county does it that way or is able to do it that way, but then you have to think a little bit more carefully. How are you passing that baton? How is this family feeling the same level of safety and comfort that they feel maybe earlier on as you're moving along in the process. Because you want to keep that intact, which will help you strengthen your assessment. Okay? All right. So, everyone understands the significance of what it means to have a good assessment. We've created a very safe environment for them. And now we're going to really focus on our communication. How are we communicating with our families? And what are the skills, the interpersonal helping skills that we are putting into place that's going to help us with improving this and strengthening our assessment? So you have a handout, and it is orangey salmon color. And this has interpersonal skills for effective communication listed on here for you. So attending. This is when we're showing respect. We're showing interest. We care what they have to say. We want them to be open, and we want to encourage that. What do you do to be attending in your communication? Eye contact. What else? Nodding, yep. Or nonverbals. What else? Acknowledgement? Yeah, good. Great, okay. Being concrete. You just shared that a little while ago, the importance of making sure we're telling them what's going on. We're explaining, we're not omitting information. We're explaining the process. We're talking about the steps and the stages and everything like that, right? Questioning effectively. This is huge. We know this, right? We ask all kinds of questions. Some are little checkbox questions that we have them fill out on papers, and some of them is when we're talking to them, right? Some of them are closed-ended questions. Some of them are open-ended. Something that I found very helpful when you're doing, and you may know this, and you may do this already, you want to ask behaviorally specific questions. That's going to be so much more helpful than the theoretical questions. So one of the themes we saw over here is we're concerned that they're not being open and honest, or we don't know if they're going to give us all the information. If I say, family, let's just pretend that a birth parent comes to you and they're very angry with you. What would you do? That's a theoretical question. We're asking them, they're more likely to say what we want to hear versus maybe what is the truth for the family, okay? Instead, we could say, a behaviorally specific way would be, tell me about a time when you were confronted by somebody who was angry at you. How did you respond? Then what did you do? How did you recover from that? What supports did you need after that happened? So you're asking very behaviorally specific questions, which will help you predict later on potentially more what's going to happen with the situation if they are confronted with somebody who's angry. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Reflecting. This is when we're seeking to understand. We're repeating, we're mirroring back to them. We're letting them know, we're with you. We're with you. We're on the same page. I'm hearing you. Confronting. Do we ever have to confront anything as Homefinders? Yeah. And why is that so important? Why do we need to confront? It helps us to continue the assessment. Yeah.
We don't want them to leave with the wrong idea.
Right. Yeah.
Make it clear.
You want to make it clear.
That it's okay.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Okay. Summarizing. That's at the end. We're talking about what the big picture is. Okay, explaining the process. What happens next, and summarizing the process for them, and giving feedback. Again, this is really critically important as well. Along the way, we're providing feedback to our families. Okay, this is really important. We want to grow their skills. We want to grow them and prepare them the best way we can. So we need to provide feedback. Don't you want feedback in your roles? We all want feedback. It's how we grow and it's how we improve. That's very important. Okay. The other part of this, is we talked a little bit already about this, are the clear expectations. The clear communication will equal clear outcomes. If we are very clear and concrete with our families from day one, if we explain the process. One thing I found really, really helpful in doing orientations with families is beginning and letting them know when we're talking about what's expected of them, we're going to have some difficult conversations. I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions that may be uncomfortable for you along the process. It's not because I'm nosy, it's not because I want to be in your business, it's because we really need to understand who you are, where did you come from, what makes you tick, what are your strengths, what are your needs, and that's going to best help us to identify what children will be best placed in your care and how we can best help you in your role as a foster adoptive parent. So then you're having these same conversations again during the MAP classes. Remember when we talked about it in orientation, where we're going to be asking you some difficult conversations, okay? And then if you do have to have a difficult conversation with them, it's a lot easier to do that later on. Remember when we said this is going to be an uncomfortable conversation, but we have to have it, and remember this is why. Okay, so being proactive. You're proactively addressing some of those difficult conversations that you are going to have along the way. Make sense? Okay. Ooh, this is my favorite. All right, working the tools. So we understand the significance. We all know that, how important it is to have a good quality assessment. We've created a safe environment for our families to feel comfortable being open with us because we're utilizing a lot of our interpersonal helping skills along the way. Now we're going to really focus on what are the tools that help us do this work. What are some ways that we gather information from our families? By asking. So we interview, we ask questions. The MAP profiles, yep, so the paperwork they're turning in, yep, about their family history. Building rapport, yes, the relationship building process, What else? Observation, yeah. When are we paying attention to our families? When are we really observing them? During MAP classes, along the way, right? We're really paying attention. We're very cued in, okay? Yeah. So we collect and gather information in a lot of different ways. These are our tools, okay? The tools will provide us with a structure to help us cue in to potential areas that we need to look deeper at. Okay, they're there for that purpose, to help us really to take the information and to give us clues. What do we need to go a little bit farther and explore with this family? The new home study assessment process, there's all kinds of tools, aren't there? So I put some of them up here. We have our self-assessment. That's a great tool to start with. Good questions that you can kind of gauge where the family's starting at. Our application, our genogram, family partner relationship forums, our parenting forums, our child interviews, our references, psychosocial safety, and we can go on and on. There's lots and lots of forums and tools that we have, okay? We're not gonna have time to go into all of these, but we're gonna do an example about one of the tools and show how it really can be helpful in navigating where else do we need to look further. The genogram. One of my favorite. So, Marianne, would you be so kind to just kind of work with me on this scenario here? And I'm going to go over here. This is a genogram. Has anybody done the genogram yet? Yeah? Okay. So the genogram, by the way, is not just a family tree. That's part of it, because you want to know all the people in the family, but there's a whole bunch more you can get from it. Okay, so would you be so kind as just to read where's this family coming from? What's the deal?
Jess contacted the agency expressing an interest in fostering up to 2 children, school age through teenager. Jess's close friend has been a foster parent for a number of years. Jess's eldest daughter is out of the home now, and she feels they have space and love to share with children in need.
Okay. All right, so we have Jess. How old is Jess?
Jess is 36 years old.
36. Okay, what else? What else about Jess? What's next?
Her mother died when she was 10.
Her mother passed away
Yes.
when she was 10.
Of substance abuse issues.
She had substance abuse issues? Okay.
She's close with her father, Lou.
Her father is Lou? How old is Lou?
Lou is 68.
68? And she's close with him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Her maternal grandparents are Mary and Frank,
Mary and Frank. All right.
and they acted as secondary parents to her while she was growing up.
Okay. Secondary parents. Because her mom passed when she was 10. Okay, that makes sense.
Mary is still living, and
Okay.
they have a strong relationship.
A good relationship?
Yes.
Okay.
Frank passed about 7 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Jess has 2 full siblings. The eldest is Sally, age 42.
Sally's 42. Got it.
Justin is deceased.
Justin's her brother.
Yes.
He's deceased. Okay.
Sally has 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
Tessa, who is 19,
Uh-huh.
and Brenda, who is 15.
All right.
Jess and Sally are very close,
That's good.
but Justin passed away when he was 17 to a drug overdose.
He was 17.
Mm-hmm.
Drug overdose. Okay.
Jess has 3 children from 2 relationships.
Got it.
Jess and Daryl married,
They were married. Okay.
and they had Danielle, who is now 18, and Mike, who is 15. They're divorced and do not have a good relationship.
Okay.
Jess entered a relationship with John, who's 38.
Mm-hmm.
They have 1 child together.
Okay.
That's John Jr., and he's 8. And Jess and John do not have a good relationship.
Okay.
Danielle
Danielle. All right. So the 18-year-old.
had some behavioral problems and left the home at age 16
Oh, okay.
to live with her paternal grandparents.
All right.
Jess does not have a good relationship with them.
With the grandparents?
Nope.
Okay.
Danielle is 18. They're working on improving their relationship.
Okay. So they're working on it.
Mike and Jess have a good relationship. John Jr. is diagnosed as mild on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
He's got supports and services which have been beneficial for him and the family.
So good supports in place?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Here's a genogram. What else do you want to know? What is cueing you? This is our tool. What is cueing you in to say, I would like some more information on that. We need to do a little bit of a deeper dive to explore some of this. What do you want to know?
Jess uses drugs. Is there any drug?
If there's any drug history with Jess, okay. What else would you like to know?
Jeff has, I guess, 2 relationships that have failed.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat failed, or she was no longer come.
Sure.
And also 1 children she was
Right. So what happened? Right? Was there violence in there? What happened in the relationship? What did she experience? Was right.
Like
Okay.
And what that looks like, and how is she involved with whatever particular services that he may be.
And why is that important? Why do we want to really cue in to see how does she work with the service providers? Like, why would that be important for us to know?
I think that is a great stress level, but I also think in the sense that there's going to be children that may be placed that are going to need to have those other services in place. And so
Right.
does she know how to navigate that?
Yeah.
What support would she need?
Sure. That could be a strength potentially for her, right? Okay. What else do we want to know? She's had a lot of losses. Yeah. So what do we want to know about that? What's important for us to consider and how that links to foster and adoptive parenting, about her losses? How she deals with the trauma, how she's managed to cope, how does she get through difficult times?
The grieving process.
The grieving process.
Where is she at?
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Her ability to work with the child or youth place around their own loss and also the reasons for the loss. If there's substance abuse history, does that impact her in any way?
Yes, right. So you're cueing into, are there any potential triggers for her, right? She lost her mother when she was 10. How might working with a birth parent that maybe has substance abuse issues potentially, maybe it's a strength for her, but maybe it's not. We gotta look deeper at that, right? Okay, what else?
I think somebody said they wanted to talk to John Jr., but I want to talk to her adult child who's not in the home.
Uh-huh.
And also talk to Mike.
Talk to Mike, yep. So you wanna interview the kids, even Danielle, even she's not in the house, she's gonna, yep, right? You wanna know that, okay. Anything else?
The ones that she identifies that she has a close relationship with, I'd like to know more about what about that relationship is close, what kind of supports can they provide, and then in turn, how that supports can filter down to children that may be placed.
Yes, absolutely. Right, great. So there is so much, this is so much more than a family tree. Look at all that you're already thinking about this family that you want to look into deeper and explore further. Go in the depth of assessment, really look closer, okay? So this is an example of just one tool. We have a lot of tools that are going to help you cue in to any potential areas. Even the application. What are some things on the application that you might say, we need to know more about that?
Is that a criminal background?
Yeah, do they have a criminal background?
Something very old that was minor?
Yeah.
Still
Yep.
bankruptcies?
Bankruptcies, financial, right? So there's each and every one of these is going to provide you with, to cue you in on some potential areas that you want to dive deeper and explore, okay? I'm also going to show you how the final assessment and determination that we're going to be doing when we're completing our assessment. So we're taking all the tools that we've completed. We've asked all of our questions, our follow-up questions, everything we wanted to know. We've done our depth in our assessment. We then will be putting our findings in our final assessment and determination. And I'm going to show you something which is super cool. Has anybody used one of these yet? Has anybody completed one? Yes? Awesome. Yes and no. Okay. So this is just an example, but under each of the sections, right, so it's broken out into section. So for example, the family relationships form, we had that tool, we've explored it really well, we've done our depth of assessment, we've identified what are the strengths in the family relationship section of the family, what are their strengths, and then it's broken out for us. What are the considerations? What do we need to consider when we're placing a child in this home? What does the caseworker need to potentially consider as we're moving forward with this family? Okay, goes back to the beginning, quality assessment and preparation. We're doing it here, and this provides a structure for us to do that. Also, the supports needed. This is proactive. What do we need to put in place ahead of time to help us potentially mitigate any issues or concerns down the road? Okay, so it's set up in a way where we really can utilize this to strengthen our assessments. Okay, so We know the importance. We've created our safe environment. Our interpersonal helping skills are on point. We're doing great with that. We've really engaged our families. We're working the tools. Now we've identified the areas that we need to explore further. How might we do that? What are some questions that we need to ask ourselves when we're going through the critical thinking phase of the process? Okay? So I ask you to be purposefully curious. You're not being nosy, you're not diving too much into their own business. You're being curious with a purpose. Okay? Because you want to know more. How is this going to impact this individual's ability to be a foster or adoptive parent? How might this impact that? Okay? And we need to be very curious with that, very inquisitive. So we just did the genogram. We identified areas we want to look at. These are the 4 questions I really want you to focus on. What do you know? What do you know? What did you just learn from the tool that you reviewed, that you looked at, that you went over with the family? And how do you know it? Did they tell you it? Did you read it? Did you observe it? How do you know that? What more do I need to know? We just talked about the genogram, about some of the areas that you want to look further in, what more you want to figure out and explore. Okay? And this is not, if somebody experienced trauma, this is not, tell me what happened. Tell me all the details of what happened in your trauma. No, 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 no. This is, tell me, how did you manage? How did this impact you? How did it impact you? How does it impact you today? What are some times that maybe this gets brought up for you again? What are some potential triggers that you have? You're not looking at the exactly what happened. You're looking at how this has impacted their functioning, which then is, how is it going to impact them to be a good foster and adoptive parent? Okay? And then lastly, how are you going to get this information? Are you going to meet with them? Are you going to get another reference? How are you going to explore and get this information? So in your handouts, you all have a scenario, and I don't know what color it is. It's white. So I'm going to ask you, it is 3:30, so how about like 5 minutes? We'll do 5 minutes. So I want you to just turn to the person next to you and just read the scenario, and I'd love for you to please just answer these 4 questions together, okay? And I'm going to add a 5th. Once you figure out what you know, how you know it, what more do you need to know in regards to this scenario, and how you're going to get the information, I would like for you to think about, how might you start this conversation with the family? What might be the first thing that you're going to say to them when you're going to explore this and have this conversation with the family, if that's what you decide you need to do in regards to getting the information? Okay, so we'll do this for about 5 minutes. Okay, so this is just a teeny little bit of information on this family, but I hear there was a lot of energy around some conversation. So just, what'd you say?
Well, that was good.
Yeah, there you go. So anybody, what did you want to know? What do you know because you read this? What was something that you know from this scenario?
Children don't have a relationship with their father. Children don't have a relationship with their father.
Children don't have a relationship with their father. Okay. How do you know that? Who told you? The mom, and who else? The child, yeah. Right? There's an incongruency there, right? So mom's saying one thing, but child's like, hey, wait a minute, I miss my dad. What more do you want to know about that situation? What is it? Yeah. What are the thoughts around that? Does dad want a relationship? Yeah. What supports have been put into place for the child if she's feeling this way? Right. Go ahead, Alana.
We also picked up on that Dina was saying that she doesn't want the father involved in children's life, but then later on in the background she's saying that she supports parents.
Right.
And so we were talking about how we want to explore that.
Yes. So go back to the interpersonal helping skills, those communication skills. What would confronting? Yeah, we have to confront that, right? I'm noticing, you're saying this in math class, but this is what we're seeing. Tell me about that. Help me understand, right?
We need to know how they ended the relationship, Dana and this person, the kid's father.
So you want to know more about that, right? Was there any violence involved? Was there any trauma involved? Like, what is this for her? Where is this coming from? Where is it stemming from? And then how might that relate to being a foster adoptive parent? Okay? Go ahead.
When Dana states that he was a sorry excuse for her father, and how did she come to that conclusion? What are the factors? But
Yes.
also more so, does she convey her opinion to the children?
Right. Right. Yes. And if that is the case, how does that relate to being a foster adoptive parent? What would be your potential concern there?
What should we say to the birth parents?
About the birth parents. Right. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I think we kind of know the motivation for Dana and Robert becoming foster parents because it seems like there's a lot of unfinished things going on with her ex and the
Sure.
kids that they probably should take care of.
So you want more about the motivation. Where is this coming from? Yeah, in the first place. Okay, very good. Anybody else?
I would want to know about David's sexual abuse, because in here, it doesn't say anything that this matter has been resolved, the pros were dealt with.
Right.
And we do know that we have many kids that come into care with this sexual abuse.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't find out in the beginning. It's
Right.
not,
Yes.
What is this going to trigger for Dana?
Yes.
How is she going to deal with this? Is she going to be able to help this young girl or boy?
Right.
So I would really want to know, did she seek help at that grade
Right.
since that she didn't disclose this to her mom? She was in her 20s, so I'm saying between 12 and 20. What happened?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and what could be the triggers, and how can you help her support ahead of time? Or it could be a beautiful strength. She could be in such a good place that some of our best foster and adoptive parents have experienced tremendous amounts of trauma. We know that, but they have been able to be resilient, and they've worked through things. They have great supports in place, and they then sometimes have greater empathy for the children if they're in the right place, right? We don't know that with just this. You're right. You're going in your depth. You're diving in to see if you can figure out more about what's going on in this scenario, in this situation.
Any services?
What if right? How did she work through it? Yeah. I had one applicant once tell me, "Oh, I just put it behind a wall." Okay, well, we need to work with that. We're going to work with that. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
I want to know a little bit about the relationship with her sister, and why is the sister concerned for the niece and nephew?
Yeah.
Because there's one thing about time,
Right.
not enough time, but then she's concerned about this niece and nephew, like what's happening.
Yes. Right. What potentially could that be about for her? And how might that impact? Have you ever had a situation where an extended family member is not okay with somebody doing this? And what can happen because of that? Can be yucky. A lot of sabotaging and things like that can happen. Or is there really what is the concern about? What is that? And how can we potentially mitigate that?
I was just going to build on that because that could be two very different conversations.
Yes.
If it comes from the sister calling you up and saying, I don't think they're ready for this, I don't think this is a good idea.
You got it.
Or is it Dana saying, my sister doesn't agree, maybe your sister has fertility stuff,
Mhm.
maybe your sister has her own motivation and her own
Absolutely.
So it's two very different conversations.
Spot on, for sure. Yep.
We also wanted to know a little bit more about Sean and Krista's perspective in wanting a child that's younger than them.
Yeah, what's that about?
And what is that about?
Yeah.
It's obviously we don't have much more information than that, but
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I want to know more information about why Krista would want to know, why she misses her real dad. Because if you look at, she's 9 years old, and she got together, or she's been around Robert for the last 8 years, okay? And so she's only a baby. So again, ask more questions about why
Yeah.
she say that.
Right. Sure. Where's that coming from for her? Right. Okay.
tied to that too is when did the birth father no longer be involved?
Yeah.
And so it might have been 8 years since they've been married, but did the birth father just recently
up and left, and yes, yes, yeah, right, absolutely. Good stuff. Does this make sense? So this is a good way, even in supervision. So just so you know as well, so tomorrow morning I'm doing this same presentation, but for supervisors. So we're going to be going over the same information and how they can support you as Homefinders and helping you also kind of navigate through some of this and asking these questions as well. So if you're getting a little bit stuck, this is something good that can be utilized in supervision. So speaking of supervision, supervision, ongoing, regular supervision is our 6th way that we can strengthen our assessments. So we understand the significance. We all know the importance of why we're doing what we're doing. We've created our safe environment for our families to feel open and safe to have these conversations. We're tapping into all of our interpersonal helping skills that really are helping us communicate and collecting the information that is helping us with working our tools. We're utilizing all the tools that are at our disposal to help us with identifying any areas that we need to dive deeper and explore. Then we're tapping into our critical thinking skills. We're asking these questions. We're doing our deeper dive. We're going in for our depth of assessment. And then we have to have this ongoing, regular communication and in our supervision, with our supervisors in supervision. Okay? This is critically important. I don't know about you, but sometimes when you're close to a family and you've been working with them 6 months, sometimes you miss things. Sometimes you're getting closer. Sometimes you don't see things if they're right in front of your face. It is so critically important to have the supervisor working with you to potentially offer a different lens. Maybe there's something that was missed in the paperwork. Maybe there was an interaction that they had with the family that maybe you didn't experience, and you need to be able to work that together in supervision and process through that together. It's another lens. It's an outside perspective that can be very helpful for you. Okay? So another way that supervisors can help is making sure that they're reviewing the tools with you. The new home study process is designed, as you notice, even in the self-assessment, there's a space for supervisory signature, right? Because the whole point and the purpose of that is to ensure that the supervisor is involving you in the process all along, okay? That they're participating in having these conversations and discussions with you when you have the self-assessment completed, when you're doing your fire safety inspection and things like that along the way. It's designed for that purpose, to have these ongoing regular conversations about the process and reviewing the tools together, okay? And again, like I said, your supervisor's role is to help you explore the critical thinking component that's involved with doing the deeper dive with the families, okay? And at the end of the day, the supervisor has to review it all. They have to review all of your tools, all of your home study, your final assessment and determination, all of your documents, and sign off on it and then address it in connections by clicking that button, right? So at the end of the day, it's their responsibility as well as supervisors to be reviewing that with you along the way, okay? Make sense? All right, so the kicker is, these were 6 specific tips that will help you to strengthen your assessments, but it doesn't stop and it doesn't end when the family is initially certified, okay? We know life happens, things change. We have to make sure we are doing an ongoing quality assessment of our families. I think I don't know if it was a TED Talk or somebody had mentioned today the importance of reaching out, just checking in, seeing where people are at, how are they doing. You're assessing. That is you providing an ongoing assessment. You're cueing in. Are they stressed out? Do they need more support? What's going on in their family? Do they have somebody new moving in? What's happening? You're doing an ongoing assessment. Then you can better assess the situation, better put additional supports in place if you need to, right? Which will allow you to make ongoing good placement decisions and providing the support that the family needs, which will go back to our stability. Our family is satisfied. They want to stay with us longer than 6 months in a year, right? They want to keep going in their journey as foster and adoptive parents, and then the outcomes for the children are, we have an increased likelihood that the child is going to be safe and they're going to achieve permanency and have well-being. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so let's just take a couple minutes. I think we're just about ready to wrap up. It's 3:50. So did any of you remember any of your challenges that you put down here? Who would be willing to share your one of your challenges?
I said, am I asking the right questions?
Are you asking the right questions?
My challenge.
Okay. So were there any solutions today that were provided for you to help you strengthen your assessment in regards to asking those questions and what questions to ask?
Yes, you mentioned something, of course I wrote it down, but how do I ask?
So how you're asking the questions?
Yeah, I forget what you said, that,
The behavioral questions?
that one.
Okay. Okay. You got it? No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that really, because I do a lot of this, and I'm pleased with what but yes, I can definitely.
So asking more behaviorally specific questions. Okay. So that's your interpersonal helping skills, right? Okay, what about others? Did you come up with any solutions while we were sitting here today? Culture. Okay. Did anything that we talk about today provide you with a level of solution or a direction for solution? Yes? Okay, good. Anybody else? Yes.
Mine was knowing if the person is being truthful. And I think just developing that rapport and being able to ask those questions, feedback, growing that relationship
Yes.
helps people to let their guard down and
Yes.
be able to be more truthful.
Yes.
But also being aware that being able to ask the questions that need to be asked
Right.
will kind of get to the bottom of things.
Right, absolutely. Yep. And what are some of the other ways that we can, just for anybody, what are some of the other ways that we can increase the likelihood that folks are going to be truthful with us? So creating that environment. What else?
Probably just stating what the expectations are throughout the whole process, because when they don't
Yes.
know what to expect,
Yep.
and you start probing, I think it feels a little,
Yep.
unsettling.
Sure. Yep. So being concrete, being very transparent, being open throughout the process. Yep. Letting them know what's going to happen. Good.
And also one of the things we do is just tell them why. I mean, the reason that we're not trying to be nosy, like you said, but we are going to be getting very personal
Yes.
and being invasive, but it's because we're putting the most precious thing in your home.
Yes. Right.
It's our responsibility and you're going to be teaching.
Yes. Good. Yeah. So you're letting them know what your role is. Yeah.
And make sure they understand that.
And why it's important. Good. Excellent.
When I go, I tell them, you have to tell me everything about you, and you're gonna find out a whole lot about us.
Right, exactly. Yeah, mutual. Right. Gotcha. Anybody else? Yes.
Being non-judgmental is really important because if they feel that they're going to be judged or there's stigma attached to the conversation,
Right.
they're not going to want to disclose.
Right, for sure. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. You're not going to judge them, right? Okay. So before we wrap up for our final, you guys all have an evaluation form, so if you could just fill that out before you go. But may I ask, what is one thing that you're going to take away from today, from our hour and a half together? One thing maybe that was a reminder for you, one thing that maybe stood out to you, that was impactful for you. Wendy.
I think for me, I might use that little golden thread thing, like in my first meeting with the potential foster family, help them
Oh.
understand why I need to dig so deep or ask
Oh,
these
okay.
questions, because
It's a good idea.
and how it all relates together.
Sure. Okay, very good.
Like this is where it starts, this is that foundation.
Yeah. I love it. Very good.
I think the visual, the genogram is just it's so useful because it just gives you that reference right away. And I'm a much more visual person, so to go back and reference it.
So she said the genogram. So looking at the genogram as a tool and how that could be helpful, and it was a good visual for her. Okay, anybody else? Oh, yeah, that's,
Well, I went there and I saw it, and they're good,
yeah.
you know, so like kind of moving with it. It's,
I love how you said that. Yeah, it's like a moving target. Trying to stay on track with that. I love it. Good.
I like the idea of being purposefully curious and how that relates back to the impact of them becoming a foster parent.
Good. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. It is 3:56. You have been an absolute pleasure of a group. Thank you for all your participation. So if you can just fill out the evaluation form, and you can just even drop it off on that table on the way back, out in the back, that would be wonderful. And we'll see you back tomorrow.